everyone, welcome back to another week of STEMpower. Today you will be learning about the ocean. The fun fact of the day is that only 5% of the ocean has been discovered. This means that 95% of the ocean is still unknown. You will have two activities, layers of the ocean and pipe cleaner coral. In the first activity, you will learn about the layers of the ocean and how they are created through differences in density and light by making your own ocean layers. You will need one empty plastic water bottle, measuring cups, corn syrup, dish soap, rubbing alcohol, water, oil, a flashlight or a phone light, a permanent marker, and a funnel of parchment paper, but that one is optional. Before we start, let's talk about the ocean. An ocean is a large, open body of salt water that composes a lot of the world's hydrosphere. The hydrosphere includes all of the water on the Earth's surface, such as lakes, rivers, oceans, and seas, and the water above the surface, such as clouds. As you know, clouds are a part of the water cycle as they turn into precipitation or rain. The ocean covers almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface area and is home to almost 1 million species. Some you might know are great white sharks, seahorses, and many fish. The ocean is also home to many plants that make up the ocean habitats, such as kelp, algae, and seagrass. Although the ocean is generally one big habitat, it is also split into smaller habitats based on the temperature of the water and the depth. The ocean has 5 main layers, which we will name later on in the activity. Each layer is home to its own species that thrive in different environments. Now let's learn about these layers in the activity. First, get into groups of 3 or 4. Each group will get 1 water bottle and 1 flashlight. Measure out a 1/3 cup of corn syrup and pour it slowly into the bottle. If needed, you can make a funnel in order to prevent spillage. Do this by cutting out 1/4 of a circle of the parchment paper. Make a cone by twisting it and securing the edges with tape. Then, cut off the bottom tip to make a hole. Pour in 1/3 of a cup of each of the other materials in this order: dish soap, then rubbing alcohol, water, and lastly oil. Shine a light from the top of the uncapped bottle through the layers after pouring the corn syrup, then after the dish soap, and lastly after the oil. Observe and discuss any patterns you see in the intensity of the light or brightness and the number of layers. Mark each individual layer of the liquid starting from the bottom of the bottle towards the top in this order: the trenches, abyss, midnight zone, twilight zone, and sunlight zone. Observe the layer separation and talk about why you think this happens. The first discussion question is, explain why the material is separated. When liquids have the same density, they are usually able to mix. When liquids have different densities, they must separate. Oil, for example, is lighter than water, so it rises to the top. In the same way, corn syrup is heavier than any of the other liquids, so it sinks to the bottom. The second discussion question is, how does this activity relate to the different layers of the ocean and how light interacts with them? The ocean is many, many miles deep. The ocean is also separated into layers based on the water's depth. So even though each layer has its own characteristics and environment, the separation is not as visually clear as in this activity. As scientists travel further towards the ocean floor, they can see that there is less and less light within each of the 5 levels. Just like when you shone the flashlight through the layers and saw that much less light made it through the full bottle in comparison to the first step, much less light gets through the deeper portions of the water due to how much space there is between the surface and the lower layers. The trenches, or the deepest layer, was not able to get as much light as the sunlight zone after the last material was added. In the second activity, pipe cleaner coral, you will create your own coral using pipe cleaners of different lengths. As we talked about before, there are numerous species that live in the ocean or the marine biome. A biome is a community of plants and animals that have similar characteristics because of the environment they live in. They each thrive in a specific layer or area of the ocean or habitats based on their needs and the other creatures around them. Each aspect of a habitat in the ocean takes part in the complex relationships that occur between plants, animals, and even non-living factors. Oftentimes, an aspect of the ocean will benefit a species such as through protection, nutrients, and more. Sometimes they will simply coexist, and occasionally, one species will be harmed, which is called parasitism. Coral reefs are underwater ecosystems made up of coral polyps. They are one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet and are very important for animals and plants around them as well. In this activity, you will need pipe cleaners, blue construction paper, Elmer's glue, pencils, and a wire cutter. First, you will get into groups of 4 and come up with an ocean-related group theme. Some examples are SpongeBob and Finding Nemo, since they both take place in the ocean. You will each get about 15 pipe cleaners. Take 5 pipe cleaners to make the coral reef. To do this, wrap a pipe cleaner around a pencil and pull the pipe cleaner off vertically to make a spiral, or fold and twist the pipe cleaners around each other to make a structure that looks like trees with branches. See these images for examples. Now let's make the animals. Here are some examples of animals you could make with the remaining pipe cleaners, but you can also make any animal you want. To make a jellyfish, attach pipe cleaners of the same length, tentacles, to a tightly wound pipe cleaner head. To make the tentacles wavy, you should bend them evenly back and forth. To make a fish, take half of a pipe cleaner and make an oval with it, tying the 2 ends together to make a tail. Make a ball out of the rest of the pipe cleaner to fill the empty frame with. To make sea stars, you can either bend 5 small pipe cleaners into the legs and intertwine them, or you can take 1 full-length pipe cleaner and bend them into 5 small legs. Also, to make sea snails, take 1 full-length pipe cleaner and make it into a cinnamon roll shape. Cut another pipe cleaner into fourths and attach 2 of the pieces to the cinnamon roll to make the eyes of the snail. Take 20 minutes to make your animals in their environment. After you finish making the animals, glue them onto their paper to make their biome and personalize their environment. Now, each group can present their biome and its animals to the rest of the class. Explain what amount of light the animals need to survive, which of the 5 levels the animals would live in, and what other resources the coral might provide for the animals. This doesn't have to be entirely accurate. Feel free to make something up and be creative. The first discussion question for this activity is, what can make an ocean environment unique, and how can that affect wildlife that lives there? In the ocean, environments are unique due to the amount of heat and light that part of the ocean receives, or its distance to the surface and the sun. Organisms can physically adapt over time to their environment's characteristics by changing how they appear or how they get food in order to maximize their chance for survival. A sea animal that lives deeper in the ocean will have adapted to see and survive in darker environments compared to one that lives closer to the surface. The second discussion question is, which layer of the ocean do you think a dolphin, which is a mammal, would live in, and why? Dolphins live in the first layer of the ocean because they are animals adapted to non-freezing waters. While dolphins live in temperate and tropical water, they avoid colder areas such as water near the poles. In general, most ocean life lives in the first zone unless their environment is on the ocean floor, in which case they may be in the 4th or 5th zone, depending on how deep it is and how much darkness they require. I hope you enjoyed this week's activities and learned something new about the layers of the ocean and about the importance of coral reefs in sustaining life. See you next week. Bye!